Welcome back to Grub and Grace. I am Mark Flower, and Zach Kidder is back with us again on the show as we talk about a whole slew of topics such as Christian nationalism, the dangers in classifying people, the power of empathy, and I even take issue with the He Gets Us ad from the Super Bowl. Kick up your feet and be sure to get comfy for part 1 of He Gets Us with Zach Kidder.
Jim Baker!
Jim Baker!
I'm drinking to that one. Like I'm just drinking like straight vodka over here in this one bottle. This is called Chapelle. It's eggnog and scotch. Hey, what if we created like a line of drinks called, but instead of like, you know, the like water in a box, the carton of water, and it's like water in a box. Yeah. What if we did that, but it was called Chapel, and it was just like eggnog, and then in parentheses with alcohol, something you might need for the guys putting you to sleep. Especially if it's November and they get all the professors to speak.
Bonhoeffer week.
Also, I was laughing. I listened to your was it part 1 or part 2? I can't remember where you talked about Bonhoeffer.
The first part, I think.
The first one. Yeah, the first one. But you said you had misspoke and said Bonhoeffer every day, or I forget how you worded it, but I just literally laughed.
Every week, and she's like, every week?
Every week, that was it. But she caught it. She's like, wait, every week? And then you're like, oh, I mean, yeah. But I just started laughing my head off. I was trying to picture what that would be like.
You know, I was actually thinking about trimming that out, and I was like, no, I'm totally keeping that in there.
Dude, I'm so glad. It made me laugh so hard. I was like, just the idea of that. Like, imagine if them doing that, but they keep out certain parts of it. They're like, we're gonna craft the narrative. It's a whole week, but all year. Does anyone have any questions?
You must come to chapel 3 times a week at 10 o'clock, and another time at noon for Bonhoeffer.
My wife's aunt, she's a pretty successful businesswoman now. Like she got kicked out of Evangel. She went to Evangel, and the reason she got kicked out was chapel credit back in like the 80s or early 90s maybe, I don't know. But so yeah, she got the boot, the academic boot, basically. Hey, well, you failed chapel or whatever. So I was laughing about that because she worked in like the Sears Tower, became pretty, like did pretty well with her business, or whatever. But nevertheless, I was like, Jenna was like, yeah, I never had enough chapels. I always had to like go to those alternate. So what I did my last, I think it was junior year or both junior and senior year. I don't know if you did this or not, but you can stack chapels so much so that you can have like an additional 20 credits of chapel. So I figured out, I did all the math, and I did like, you only need, what is it, like 20 a semester or 15 a semester? I don't know what it is, 25 maybe. So I had like a bank of 25. And so as soon as I realized, oh, I'm good. Like it was like the first week of January, I just stopped going to chapel because like I have all these credits. I don't really have to go unless I want to go just to like see a certain speaker or whatever, go worship or whatever. But
see, that's the thing. Like I kind of wish that I actually did go to the Bonhoeffer week. Like that was one that I felt like I skipped out a lot on those. But the parts that I did see, even though I was sitting in chapel, I think I just kind of closed my eyes and slept through it. But I had to make sure that the camera didn't catch me.
I was going to say, there's like the eye in the sky or whatever. Like it would actually legit, they'd go through it and be like, oh, he's sleeping. Is that sleeping? He might be in prayer. Disqualified. And they won't tell you.
No.
And then I guess like, it was Pastor Sid cracked me up, but Pastor Plake was then, I don't know if you were there for that. You might have just graduated. Maybe you graduated in 2009, right? Or was it 10?
Yeah, 2009.
You were kind of out of the scene. Because I think he got fired that time, and then this new dude came in called Pastor Plake, and he was like this kind of, just very politician, very polished guy. Like compared to Sid, he was like the darling of the AG kind of. He'd only hang out with for example, at the cafeteria, he would only hang out with the people, the in crowd of like the administrator, like the VPs, and all the people that were like the Bundricks. And I remember Dennis Whaley was still around that time, and I went to his office because I'd go hang out with him all the time. He goes, what do you think of Pastor Plake? I'm like, I kind of miss Pastor Sid because Pastor Sid used to crack me up. And I don't know. He's like, well, he goes, well, I just noticed because he always goes and hangs out with kids. He's like, I was in the cafeteria and I noticed that Pastor Plake doesn't like to be with the students. I'm like, oh yeah, I know. He's like, Pastor Sid wasn't like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. He was, yeah. Anyway, it was just kind of funny. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, that does kind of help if you're like like a campus pastor, that you get to know the students, like, but the people at your ministry do. And like, but he would like not even like spend a time a day. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Oh, Pastor Sid was kind of crazy guy with the car sermons. And then he, one time I came to the cafeteria and we happened to be wearing the same like really dumb thrift store striped red shirt, like button down. And I came in, I looked over and he goes, well, look at there. He sounds like Colonel Sanders. Well, my word. Look at that stud. And I'm like, oh, Pastor, he doesn't even know who I am. Except for I made a bathtub video of myself actually nude in a bathtub and like put it on his Facebook wall. Yeah, and he's like, you look just as good on a bathtub as you would a worship team. I'm like, yeah, I don't have time for that. But yeah, he's in the cafeteria with that shirt, the red shirt. And I'm like, and I my eyes perked up, kind of a thespian instinct came upon me. And then all of a sudden we started breaking out. He goes, la-di-do-di, like an actual fake hymn. He's like, like Battle Hymn Republic, but with the different lyrics. And he's like, there he is with the striped red shirt. Praise the Lord. Oh, yes, Almighty God. And like, we're like, next thing you know, we're arm in arm just walking around. And like, everyone's like, what the crap? And I'm like, oh, it's like, and they're like, yay, great job. Like 2 tables are just like, man, and the rest of people are like, oh my gosh, what the heck? So I'm like, that's when I knew Pastor Sid was fired for a good reason. No, I don't know.
Okay, so this lady, this woman, she, Audrey Assad, she made this alternative version of the Battle Hymn of the Republic. But you know how Battle Hymn of the Republic was created in the Civil War? It was created in the, for the South. It was kind of like this, like, come to battle. We're fighting for the Lord's army, and we're doing the Lord's work, and all this stuff. And it's very much like a war anthem. Oh yeah. And so Audrey Assad, she came up with this alternative version that talks about peace and bringing peace and finding like unity. But it's great. Like I'll have to send this to you. I'll send it to you now, but you can check it out later. But it is fantastic.
I'm pretty sure the inauguration, can't say it, they played the Battle Hymn Republic. Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the song they chose for one of the, like, even if it was just instrumental, like they didn't sing it. But yeah, it was. I was like,
it's all chosen for a reason.
Oh,
here,
man.
Let's actually keep this for a second. Let me go ahead and introduce us, and then we'll kind of get into it.
Okay.
All right. Sorry. Welcome to Grub and Grace. I am Mark Flower. I am here with my good friend Zach Kidder again for another episode. We will be talking about current events, which might include Christian nationalism. We might jump into things like the Book of Enoch and wherever else the conversation takes us. So, Zach, thanks for coming on again.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's really awesome to see you again and just be back. And it's funny because I'm in the same exact chair that... in the room and all that, the garage. I'm in the garage. It's like out in the garage. I told my wife I'm going to go record a podcast. Like, should I do it in the closet of our bedroom or here? And she's like, yeah, no, whatever. I don't care. But it's just, you were literally here. Like, we're kneecap to kneecap. And now you're over in Colorado. And it's so cool to see we can do this. So thanks. Thanks for letting me come back.
How's the temperature there in your garage?
Well, I got a little heater down here. I thought it was going to be much colder, but it's not too bad. It's raining outside. It's like 50s outside right now. So that's not bad. Kind of keeps somewhat cool. It's not bad at all. Yeah. Here it actually feels really comfortable.
It's 9 degrees here in Colorado.
I didn't realize it was that cold.
It got pretty cold. Tomorrow is actually supposed to be colder, so we'll see.
Dude. No, you know how we met I don't know how we met. However we met, I wish I could go back in time and remember it, because it must have just been so natural. Because all I remember is the crazy stuff, like when we went on the city bus in Springfield and did that video for the girl. And but I was just thinking, what if you did a podcast where you only were on the Springfield bus and you had to bring all your like sophisticated audio equipment, and the people that run the bus system, all the people that go on it are just like freaking sick of you. They see you every day with and you're like, hush up, I'm trying to interview a guest. Anyway, so it's so great to have you. Shut up. There's a alcoholic nearby here.
And every episode I have a new book. I found this book from the thrift store. It's from the 1800s.
It's called Racist Randall's Rantings and Manuscripts. All aboard the bus, all aboard. You're doing like 20 circuits. Like, you know how like the bus goes back to the home station, then it goes back out on the same route. You're literally on it from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
They see me again. They're like, oh God.
That's one of those towns where it's like, why is there a bus? I'm from Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and like the town has like, to this day, 50,000 people. And I think like 60 years ago, it's still 50,000 people, and like it hasn't grown, hasn't shrunk. And it has like, you know, like the cheese factory, Kohler Toilets is in the county, and all the cheese is made, you know, whatever. But like they have a city bus, and the town is so small. But it was so laughable because you would drive by and you can see, when someone's on a city bus, you can see the silhouette of people like in the bus. It'd only be like one guy in there. It would be totally empty. And one time I had to take it because my car broke down, and I was like, oh man, is this thing gonna like actually get me home? And it was like perfectly reliable, exactly on time. There was like 20 different routes. I'm like, this is great. I like these services.
Customer service is selling.
Selling is service. Yeah, last time I was on, I feel like I was more prepared and probably overly prepared to a fault, because I had like the PowerPoint presentation and all these like random video clips. And then I think I accidentally pasted it in there like 20 times of that Gentleman Broncos movie clip where it's like, like,
and then
the guy like,
this is the science.
Yes, do you remember? I found that randomly in my computer just a minute ago, and I was like playing like, what is this? And it says Science Rules was the name of the audio clip. I'm like, oh, what is this? I played it and it goes, science. I'm like, oh no. Why would I? Oh man. So today I was like, well, let's pick up where we left off. But then again, I'm like, you know, since we've last met up to do that recording to talk, so much has happened in the world, and in so many different ways, like politically, spiritually. We've had a lot of great. I've really enjoyed like just being in touch with you and talking about the world, reactions. I kind of follow. I've kind of like geeked out, and like I follow your story. Probably just like it's like muscle memory now. I'm just like, oh, what's Mark talking about now? Because I think my eyes have been opened quite a bit to the realities. I mean, some of which have been, I don't know, you know, like expected. Like, oh, kind of knew. Okay, this new administration, the shifting of powers that be is going to bring in a lot of stuff, and all the things were listed out, you know, and kind of like, yeah, expect this, expect that. And I'm like, I kind of need to see it. I'm a skeptic, kind of like you. It's like, absolutely yes, but then also verify. I'm like, and then yet I can believe stuff, but I'm like, oh wait, you know. Anyway, it's just been kind of cool.
Well, that's what I hope people do. I can tell you one thing, that I get regular messages of people saying, not so fast.
Oh, we already know. Man, I was reading through, I kind of skip around in the Bible. That's kind of my thing nowadays, is just to like try to find a book and just truly do read through it. Because I've read the Bible many times. I know everything. No, I don't. I'm learning all the time, but like Ecclesiastes, I read that book.
Oh,
have you ever read
Ecclesiastes? Yeah. Everyone always thinks it's like this down, depressing book, but I'm like, this is like fantastic. They're like presenting ideas in life that like people should be thinking about and like not dwelling on, but like applying and having this deep conversations and thought.
Well, I mean, it's the smartest guy ever, the wisest man. You know, he's just like the most like renowned guy, king, and. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, same exact reaction. I'm like always kind of avoiding it because I don't want to get depressed or, you know, so go to Proverbs or something. But yeah, I was reading it just with a fresh take, you know, and like you know, to your point on like verifying and like the craziest messages you get. Like it was one of the, I think it was 118. I wrote it down. It's like, for in much wisdom is much vexation. And maybe other translations use a different word than vexation, but like basically like troubling, you know, and then he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. So, hey, got to start with a downer there.
But no, that's the thing. Is a lot of the words, you know, a lot of the words they feel like downers, but they're like they've got so much depth to them. And if you actually think about it, it's actually very like such an inspirational book. I mean, it really allows you to process through emotions. It allows you to understand really difficult things that you might be going through. But it doesn't, in a way, like you said, it's that kind of downer. It's like got a lot of that rhetoric, those word choices. But I feel like it's a very misunderstood book.
Yeah, and it was nice to get another take on it, other than just it's a downer book, you know, because like when you really go through it, like the first few chapters, it's like talking about stuff that we would normally just kind of say, oh, this is good stuff. Like you're working to provide for your family and you bring home money. And now you're able to take your family on this trip or do these things and provide for them, get them this and that. All the things that are pretty normal, or like just, I don't know, just anything and everything is just mentioned. And he goes in all these different things, but he'll always end the section by saying, but it's all vanity. None of it matters because you're going to die. All that wealth will transfer, and you don't know how your son or grandchild is going to handle the trust fund you entrust them with. You know, say you give them $1 million, like they could totally ruin it. So like, why did you put all that into that legacy alone? But it just kind of ends there. It's like a cliffhanger, and you're like, okay, on to the next thing, and it goes in and on 12 chapters, and then my favorite part is obviously like the, you know, each time has its season, you know, a time to mourn, a time to grieve, and I feel like Jesus kind of picks up on that in a way where he talks about the Beatitudes, like in a sense, like, oh yeah, here are the things, you know, but in the end, in the very last like paragraph, whatever, he goes. What did I think I like actually wrote it down here somewhere, but it was like basically like, yeah, it's all vanity, it's all meaningless. It says meaningless. It's like it's all meh, but you know, honor the Lord and keep his. Or it says fear God and keep his commandments. Boom, and he just like mic drop leaves. Here you go. Here's the eternal aspect of like whatever it is I was writing about. You know,
I mean, the whole book of Ecclesiastes, it's like that whole thing of like your treasures aren't on earth, they're in heaven. And that is essentially, in a nutshell, what is being said in Ecclesiastes.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, that guy had a lot of wealth and a lot of wives and a lot of
I'm sure
sexual pleasures and
as he's going through all this. Yeah.
Like, and I think he talks about, like, he goes into so many nuances too, like just on like the intricacies of knowledge and wisdom. Like, I can know all these things, but then, like I said, it brings more problems. You know, the more I know, the more I'm faced to deal with those problems. You know, like there's more entrusted in me, more responsibility, perhaps. You know, and yeah.
Amongst everything going on, and like going through the book of Ecclesiastes, and kind of realizing, like, you know, like we shouldn't put so much consideration into this world, and so much of our marbles, I guess you could say, especially with everything going on with the big changes here, and you know, governmental policy and everything. And you would even mention, you know, the inauguration, speaking of, you know, the new administration, of playing, you know, a specific song choice. And then you'd mentioned to me previously about at the WEF conference, or when Trump spoke behind him, the eagle was facing towards the arrows, and everything is kind of pointing towards this kind of like this emphasis of war and kind of warring sort of vibe that's kind of going on right now. So,
oh my gosh,
it's super interesting, and super a little scary, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that definitely feel that as well. So.
Well, and you know me, perhaps like the people listening don't know who, you know, and that's fine. But like based on my previous episode, I could see how like, okay, wow. And I said a whole lot of stuff, so I apologize. You know, like, man, maybe put it on 2 times speed if it's too much, you know, if you need to get through it. But like basically like, yeah, I'm a tinfoil wearing hat conspiracy theorist in a lot of ways, you know, and I kind of that was kind of the background that I've had the last 10 years of just like inching into the subject matter and questioning things and asking things about the system, about government, about religion, politics, everything, you know, and that can come with its faults, and it can also come with, you know, whatever. It can come with problems, you know, and like one of them is like, you know, there's a taboo with that a little bit, you know, social reactions to like, or labeling like, oh, you must be far right wing extremist. Like we could throw that one on, you know, different things like that, or like, and wherever that comes from, I don't know. Well, it's just funny to me a little bit because, you know, just looking at our current time, like there's almost been a shifting of things a little bit. Like now the current guys that might fall into the category of on the right, and I'm sorry, I'm slow to use labels, not because they're not useful, but sometimes they can be harmful too. And like just throwing around right winger, left winger. I'm wary of that because it can detract from what I'm actually trying to, or anyone's trying to say, or like the communicate. So for lack of better word, but anyway, like, yeah, now it's like, I can see the sentiments arising where it's like, oh, look at these left wing conspiracy nuts thinking that the doomsday is about, no, we're in our moment of peace, and what I'm trying to say is like, yeah, they're specifically like the right, the Christian nationalist right, the religious right, and like just that spectrum of political American belief in kind of God and country, so to speak, God and which is always there. It's always kind of has a sub level, and now with anyway. I lost my train of thought.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No, I think it's good to not kind of pigeonhole yourself into categorizing people, because it is dangerous. I mean, what is it? Violence begets violence, and like, what's another way you could say that? And although categorizing someone isn't necessarily violence, you could bring in a definition that it is kind of a verbal violence. It is. Yep. It's the whole idea of that you get with like racism, like classifying people within a certain group. Of course, it isn't equal to that, but I'm just trying to think of like different ways, different examples. I'm kind of blanking at the moment as far as like grouping people into certain groups. Whereas I think it's a little healthier to pick apart ideologies and talk to an individual's one-on-one and say, I don't agree with your ideology. And I think that you're practicing some really harmful stuff, and you're really pushing some really harmful stuff. And I don't think you're a great person. But just because I don't think you're a great person doesn't mean that I should think that this other person who has similar views as you, although it might not be the same, they shouldn't be classified as the same as you, sort of thing. Yeah. And it's really dangerous once you start saying, just because these three people think that this certain thing, and these people kind of are friends with them, or kind of overlap in certain circles with them, that they're all the exact same. And it's a very dangerous path to go down, and it's what you see so common here in America right now in this time period, is a lot of this, like you're going this category, you own this category. These people maybe overlap on some of these categories, but they're in a very dangerous area, so they're kind of in this general big category, and it's very, I don't know, it's just very toxic a little bit in a way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, man. Yeah, it's like, I think maybe it begs the question in a lot of ways, because we're such an online community now of just posting and commenting, and I guess the social engineering of sorts is being done by like the algorithms and how videos are titled, and like where you find yourself in these political little corners, I guess. And so, yeah, just it's more divided perhaps like than ever before, I think, and more polarized than ever before. And like, instead of asking the question, what do you mean by that? The assumption's already done in your mind. You've already, before you even read, say I don't know why I'm going to comment wars, because let's just say a person talking, like, it's just such a responsive world versus let's listen and care in love and find out, these truly what this person's getting to the bottom of, and where they're really at. And yeah, I think a lot is lost there. Like a lot of, there's so much at stake in just losing that art of communication and being able to like truly know, like, and I don't know why that is. Like that's why I'm puzzled, because I'm always confused. I'm always wondering, like, what rabbit hole am I going down here? Like what do I need to digest to understand what this person is saying about what is good for us, or what's good for me, and what's true? And like, man, I'm as perplexed as they come, and I don't even know. Like, so I guess my point, what I was trying to make, is like, I don't know where I'm coming from. I know where I was, but I don't know like how that, I don't know where I'm at. But I will say, like, and hopefully this is just being as transparent as possible. Like, there's a lot I've gotten wrong. Like I've been wrong all the time, and so like. I think we're on a journey. We're going to come to like these points where we're like, okay, I can see where this person is coming from now, but I didn't know it then. And I think that's hopefully where, I feel like that can be the bridge and the gap. And I don't know, as opposed to just things getting more and more divided and, like you said, toxic, where like there isn't communication, or there isn't, an effort to like figure out, how do we find peace? Where do we meet in the middle? And I think, was it you that said this in the last episode? Because I was a huge fan. I just got done listening to part 2 of Christian nationalism episode that you dropped, and it was really instrumental to me. Like, both of them were great, both part 1 and part 2. Highly recommend. But like, was it? And maybe it wasn't you, but I heard this recently, and it was either you or someone else. But oh gosh, maybe it wasn't you. So I apologize if this wasn't actually from your episode, but I heard it recently. And it was basically like, man, to the person on the other side of the aisle, like, do you really know anyone in Black Lives Matter personally that you've spoken to? Was that you guys? Maybe I don't know if that was your guys' chatter.
That was at the very beginning of my Christian Nationalism Good for Society Part 2.
Thank you.
That was right after my 10-minute intro.
Fantastic. Yeah. Sometimes my mind just jumbles a lot of information and I don't know where I've heard things. So I didn't want to like say that you said that when I don't really know. But anyway, so yeah, you said that, or you brought that idea in, and it really made me chew on that for a while, because so I've been thinking about that for like the last week, and it's like that applies literally to everywhere. And I'm in a unique position. I've worked in the film industry. I've got a lot of friends in different places, and I'm also from the church. And so it kind of presents like quite a spectrum of different types of belief, thought, philosophy, and everything. And I've always valued that. I like to hear other things. I want to be refreshed, but I also get pigeoned to it. I'll be the first to admit, like, I get stuck in my ways. I get dogmatic. I get religious on certain things to the point where it detracts from really truly knowing, understanding, and hopefully gaining insight and wisdom. Mm-hmm. But like, man, you opened my eyes, because it's like, oh, I do that in both directions. I don't know where I find myself. I just want to know what's true and I love the Lord. I want to know what Jesus truly says. And I feel like a lot of people are just muddling it and just getting in there and just putting their dirty paws all over, so you can't actually hear the words of the Lord.
Yeah, and that's where to your point, like no, or are you actually putting yourself out there to get other people, or get to know other people's stories in different like areas of life that isn't similar to your areas of life? Get out of your bubble, get into someone else's bubble, and not just talk to them, but listen to them. And one of those things over the past couple of years that I've really been learning is, before these past couple of years, I didn't really know where I stood on a lot of things, especially in theology, even politics. I didn't really get too involved. And then I started kind of seeing the importance of getting to know a lot of things, whether it be politics or digging in the word and theology, and understanding the different takes on the Bible and understanding that and everything. And one of the things that I've realized is that Jesus, in all of his teachings and in all of the gospels that he shows up in, he's a very relational person. He puts people first. And that's one of those things that I've had to learn is I'm a very personable person. Like, I love being around people. I'm an extrovert, but I don't know if I really emphasized really letting them talk. I felt like I put myself in conversations, and it felt like we were on a level plane, and that we're having these conversations. But now I'm realizing I need to emphasize more on listening and using active listening and allowing myself to understand where they're coming from, and not just talk about surface level things. One of the things that I think it's beautiful about our friendship is that we get super goofy. I mean, especially from what you saw in the first episode. I think so far in this recording, we haven't really gotten like super goofy, but in person, like we just go crazy. But then at the same time, like on a flick of a finger, we can get super serious and down to the nitty gritty and just talk about life and just real topics. And I think that's one of those things that I'm just finding such importance with interacting with people and understanding different ways of life, understanding people that are not inside my bubble, my white, cis, hetero, Christian, male bubble that I'm in. Yeah. And I need to get out of that more. So yeah, I'm glad that's coming across.
That's amazing. Yeah, it is. It is coming across. And like, yeah. And I think you didn't actually say this, but like, it truly is, it requires something of you. Like, listening is a requirement. Like, and I'm learning that too, man. It's like, there is so much to be said in like, not what I'm saying or how I'm going to respond, but like, what are they truly saying? And maybe like, how am I asking the right question to get to the bottom of, am I asking enough questions, but not, yeah. So like that's definitely true. And like, and also like just the intentionality that it requires to get to a point of trust with people and to be able to have these kind of connections. Like, and maybe that's just part of hopefully, because I don't know, I'm very like skeptical, and I have a very bad attitude towards our world and our society, like in our generation. I don't know what, but like the more and more I get older and the more things progress, I feel like the more and more isolated we are, and the more, like just maybe socially unhealthy in a lot of ways, and not to get into all that, but like just, yeah. And so the side effect being like, yeah, not a lot of people doing this, not a lot of people like going out and just having a drink in person or having people over for dinner around a table. There's something so like holistically healing about eating with someone and being able to do this, and just like we're doing now, and kind of just get there, designate that time. And yeah, if you look at, again, to tie it back to Jesus and his ministry that we know of, I'm sure there's a lot more that we don't know, which I think you said in an earlier episode, like, you're like, man, if this was like J.R.R. Tolkien, I don't know if you said that, but like there would be so much more like, oh, now Jesus goes to the bathroom. Oh, now he's going over here to this hotel. Oh, now he's going and hanging out with these people. So there's a lot we don't know. I mean, it's just like the anecdotes, right? Or like the abbreviated version of like what happened in an entire 3.5 year period or 4 year, whatever it is. But yeah, like, what does he do? He's always relating and always breaking bread. He'll break bread with the Pharisees sitting at table, and then he'll be at Mary and Martha's house. He'll be there. He'll be on this hillside, and then he'll be in a boat sleeping. Like, there's just constantly life around him. There's so much. I can almost like just hear the noise. Like the kids, a kid some way finds his way up to him to like get his attention, and everyone's like, oh, get this child away. And he says, what does he say? Like, if you, the least of these will inherit the kingdom, right? And I'm probably paraphrasing that, but like, yeah.
Wait, whatever you do to the least of these children of mine, I do to you, or something. Oh boy, what is that?
Yeah. I want to say I just like read that. It was in like Luke 8 or 9 or something like that, and probably multiple places in the Gospels, but yeah.
Whatever you do to the least of these. Matthew 25:40 through 45. So, oh boy, I don't want to read the King James Version. That is very problematic.
There's a lot of going on.
Oh, I have notes on the ESV. I can get into that if you want to.
I was going to ask. I only no. This episode is brought to you by not the Gideon Bible. What was the one? Geneva. Only Geneva.
Only Geneva Bible.
Only allowed.
Money, please.
Yes.
So
sponsorship. If you're sponsored by a Bible edition, but the only Bible edition you were sponsored by was the Trump Bible. I don't know if you know.
The signed Trump Bible, $1,000
with the Constitution on
signed, and it has a Constitution, even though they removed.
Do you think it has every Constitution of every government in the world in it? Like, do you think it has like the Zimbabwe's Constitution written in there as well? Or is it just the U.S. Constitution? I'm just curious. I don't know. The Magna Carta is in there as well? I do believe he did put the Book of Enoch in there.
Oh, the Book of Enoch. We can get into that too.
Yes.
Actually, I think we should do that. Let me read this. So Absolutely. Matthew 25:40 through 45. So I don't have to read all of it. All right. Truly, I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did it to me. That was verse 40. I'll just read that.
Yeah. It's pretty telling. I mean, like, yeah, just that inclusion of like bringing in people that were discarded, and like, yeah, just the overlooked, the people that should be stoned to death for their being caught in the act in adultery, were given that chance because, oh my, and I'm jumping around. I'm sorry.
No,
but just
actually,
there's so many examples that flood my mind.
And I think this will be a nice transition into a topic that I would love to get into, and I'm sure you have some thoughts too. But you go ahead and finish your thought.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, I was thinking, and I jumped around there, but the next thought was the anointing of Jesus' feet with the woman who was a woman of the town. If I'm saying that right, yeah, you know what I mean. But anyway, woman of the night, and she's anointing his feet, and there's tears and a lot of moisture. Just I don't even know, like, just reading that. I'm sorry, this is the Zach Kidder translation, excuse me, so my mind is a little bit goofier, but yeah, there's a lot of moisture, because not just the tears, but she's also putting like a really expensive like alabaster or some sort of really high-end fragrance or something that she had that she decided to dispense the entire thing of. But anyway, it's an act of love, and she's crying. That's the whole point. She's crying, and they're just like talking crap about her, and like, but he's like, she loved much. And I forget what he says next. Again, the point being, like, it's just like, wow, like, that was it. Just that act of humility, but act of just giving her entire heart, giving everything she had, and the dismay around him from the community, looking down on that and saying, well, because of her association, because of who that person is. And nothing has ever changed, like back to the Ecclesiastes, History repeats itself. Everything's kind of a cycle where it's we're doing it again. We're doing it with other people. Maybe it's the trans community. Maybe it's someone else who's lesser in the eyes of the greater society or whatever. Or maybe it's this person or that, or the weirdo at the gas station. Remember him?
Now that weirdo.
Just kidding.
No, I think it's such a beautiful thing, like this imagery of Jesus walking with those that are marginalized, who are outcast from normal society, who are looked down upon. And I was going to bring it into, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us have seen the Super Bowl over the last few years, and especially this last one here. And a lot of people are talking about the "He Gets Us" ad. And the imagery that they show is, people, getting down their knees, helping people, getting to their level, working with people that are so diametrically opposed to them in, political ideologies or societal backgrounds and economical backgrounds and everything. And you get this beautiful imagery, but a lot of people have been having a lot of problem with the ads themselves. It's not the imagery that they have a problem with. It's more of what's kind of behind the scenes with all this. So a lot of people are talking about, you have to follow the money. So the organizations that fund the He Gets Us ad, they are religiously very, very conservative organizations, and they do not pull their weight of their wealth behind the liberation movements that they purport to show within these He Gets Us ads. Most of the organizations that fund, so most of the organizations.
Wow, you're blowing my mind. I thought you were kidding for a second, or I thought I heard you wrong. No.
So most of the organizations that fund the campaign are anonymous, but one of the big ones that do fund it is Hobby Lobby. So it's the Green family, and they're extremely. I don't know if you know anything about them. They're extremely right leaning, very conservative, very hyper nationalistic. Yeah.
Sorry, I know you. I'm not going to interrupt you with the dumb.
You're reading me all.
Oh, did I send you that? Okay, sorry. I was reading off the slogans.
So of course, follow the money.
Sorry, go ahead.
Number two, you see ambiguous language within everything. So if you go to any religious organization website and you scroll through and you read everything and you still don't quite know what they stand for, that ambiguous language is very intentional. Generally, that is a bait and switch. That's what it's known as, a bait and switch. So they use a lot of this language that would appeal to like justice-oriented people to kind of draw them in with this, beautiful illustration of who Jesus is, and that he looks out for the marginalized and the poor, the needy, and but they don't actually follow up with any of these claims in other things that they support, and they other organizations or policy, like governmental policies that they contribute to.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's Jesus and here's who he is. And a lot of people are like, this is great. And then you actually look into like what they stand for in other areas, and it's so opposed. Like in the ad, it shows, images of like an LGBT flag, and someone's like, they're helping each other. And like, you get all this very like justice oriented, but they like, especially with like Hobby Lobby and some of the other contributors to this ad campaign, they regularly fund other policies and other like organizations that are very much against like LGBT rights, very much against like abortion rights, very much against a lot of these things that they're trying to draw people in, showing that they're trying to show that they actually care about this stuff when they actually really do the complete opposite. So a lot of that ambiguous language kind of masks in that. So that's that bait and switch that I'm kind of talking about. The third one, they portray Jesus as the centrist. So they get almost political in a way. When you look at Jesus and you look at just the idea of like his life, and he's making a lot of these parables and teachings, and the question is, does a centrist, does someone in the middle aisle that doesn't really push buttons, do they get crucified? And Jesus was a radical. I mean, Jesus wouldn't have gotten crucified if he wasn't a radical. If he was just kind of like love one another, pay your taxes to Caesar, and we'll be all great. Like, he wouldn't have been crucified.
Sorry, I love it.
Like he was a radical.
I'm tracking with you. Yes,
he advocated for justice and the marginalized. So these ads are trying to portray Jesus as like a kumbaya. Let's all get along, come together, let's meet in the middle type of situation. And
oh my gosh, you've blown my mind.
There's no obligation for people of color to meet racists in the middle, and this is real life. There's no obligation for people to do this. There's no obligation for women to meet misogynists in the middle. There's no obligation for religiously traumatized people to meet the church in the middle. There's no the LGBTQ plus community has no obligation to meet homophobes or transphobes in the middle. There's no obligation that requires anyone to do any of that. To require that to happen is honestly an act of violence. It's act of spiritual violence. And this ad honestly gives off all lives matter vibes on a matter of justice.
I remember that one.
I mean, yeah, it's
you want to see my t-shirt? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. it was that, I mean, you know what I'm talking about there.
I know exactly what you're talking. Yeah.
But
kind of the
yeah, it's one of those things. Like I had this conversation with my wife, and she's like, "What's wrong with the ad? The ad's beautiful." And I'm like, well, if you actually dig into it and actually like see who the sponsors are, you follow the money, you kind of understand like what the ambiguous language, the bait and switch with that, and kind of everything that goes along with that. Then things start to kind of not look as clear cut as oh, this is just a beautiful image of Jesus. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. Like you said, I kind of blew your mind.
So many thoughts. Well, I didn't know that. And let's just talk about reactions. So like my reaction as someone who has a background in conservative politic leaning, an artist, creative kind of guy, my mind is always going kind of towards those leanings as a security blanket of like, even to the point where like when people say things like a little trigger word here for you, ready? Red wave. I actually find comfort in that because there's some aspects of that where I've had political leanings where I'm like, well, that's good. It's kind of pushing a little bit too closer to the justice that I like or whatever. All that to say, none of that. But going into that ad, like when I watched it for the second time, because I saw the Super Bowl this year, and I think I saw it last year too, or whenever it was put on last, or on YouTube maybe. But I was like, the skeptic in me was going like 1,000 miles an hour, going, all right, who put this on? And I immediately think, I would never have expected what you just told me, that it was like a huge amount of funding coming from like those guys from Hobby Lobby or whatever. No, that doesn't compute. And so kind of just to backtrack here, and that's kind of just, man, that's kind of, my mind is, where I'm at is like, oh my gosh, like deception and this craziness of like manipulation and corruption comes everywhere. It's pervasive. It's in everything. And unless you have a mind that's wary and looking for, not what I can get out of the situation, or not like, what can I benefit, cui bono kind of stuff, but like truly like, maybe it goes back to your original statement. Maybe it's just the lack of listening, lack of understanding. But, we have 2 ears to hear. My old Sunday school teacher from like 3rd grade, shout out to, should I say his name? He's probably listening. Mr. Hoover. Shout out to you, Mr. Hoover. 7th and 8th grade Sunday school teacher. He said, he had fingers his fingers were very strong. My fist was like the size of one of his fingers. And he was this, only like 5'10". But anyway, he had, like you could run it over with a car, his fingers would be just fine. Anyway, he said, you have two ears to hear, and that means you should be listening twice as much as you should be speaking. Only one mouth. Whoa. Mic drop. Sorry.
Mind blown.
Anyway, no. But yeah, like, sorry. It's crazy, man. To see like the agendas at play. And I go to this term, I don't know how familiar you are with just like the culture war. And I'm sure you are, because like this is kind of what's been going on, is like this yearning for like, if we can push a certain thing. And I heard you guys talk about it a little bit in your Christian nationalist episodes, where like there is this like, you did a really good expose on that, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
But like as far as like just this culture war of like pushing these agendas, basically building the kingdom through, I'm just gonna get right into it, through this like 7 mountain mandate, for this idea of the 7 mountain mandate, that's supposedly biblically endorsed. And I don't know how that, anyway, but like that, by force, take kingdom by force. And it's just like the opposite of what we're told in scripture, like through the Great Commission and like through what Jesus is really showing by his actions. Like in that entire breadth of his ministry, like there's just never constantly the green light, or there's never like he takes a pistol out and shoots into the air. Okay, guys, now it's game time. Grab your weapon. Oh yeah, Peter, cut off another soldier's ear. Let's keep cutting off those ears. I want 50 ears on the ground by sunset. Like what? Like when does that ever happen? He pushed over tables to make a point, and what was that point? Because that's the only thing that everyone will kind of bring up. Oh no, he did get a little feisty, and by the way, his words were very strong. Yeah, he's a very offensive guy to everyone. Like if you're not pissed off at some point, even all the guys, he's like, I've done everything. I've done all the commandments. I've done this. I've given to, well, he didn't say given to the poor, but I've I've done all these wonderful things. He's like, all right, yeah, just sell all your wealth and follow me. And he just immediately gets depressed and walks away. It's like,
no, like you said, I mean, he flipped over tables. It was Andrew Whitehead. I heard him talking. I don't know if it was at a church or like a sermon or something like that, but he was talking about, Jesus did flip over tables, but the majority of his time and his, parables and teachings were about setting the table. And his whole ministry is about setting the table, bringing those people together. And he did push buttons. He did flip tables. But the core of it, like I was talking about before, was that relational aspect. And I thought that was a beautiful like illustration of like, using the table flip, but then kind of turning it around is like, no, Jesus is all about setting the table. And I thought that was just like really cool.
Would the equivalent to the 20th, 21st century Jesus flipping tables be like flipping Ferraris of megachurch pastors in the burbs, baby? Half serious there, by the way.
There's that.
Oh, yes. Oh, man.
I am walking in the dirt.
Hi, Jesus.
Oh. Hi.
I got tickets to the Super Bowl, Jesus.
The Super Bowl.
Be quiet.
That Jesus voice, his voice in that, like it's been stuck in my head for like rent-free for like 20 years.
For those who have no idea what we're talking about, it's this thing called Vintage Jesus something. I think there's
Vintage
a number.
21.
Vintage 21 Jesus.
It was like, I think it was the name of that church or like, trendy ministry. Vintage 21. I don't know where they're at, but like whoever made that, whatever intern or like pastor, associate, whoever like came up with that, so is a genius.
I think there's like 5 or 6 videos, so they're hilarious. If you have just kind of like a quirky sense of humor, like a Napoleon Dynamite sort of humor, you're gonna find these hilarious.
I think like the actual like Jesus videos themselves, like it came from an actual like film, like a British 1960s, whenever like Technicolor became a thing with film. And it's like, I just remember like, it looks so low. And there are actually, I think like, correct me if I'm wrong, like 100 Jesus videos out there in the last 120 years, probably more now. And now with like series like The Chosen and all these different countries around the world probably making their own versions of like, But anyway, there's all these depictions. But this like British production company makes this one with like, and the Jesus character has his like hair all matted down. Like he just looks super, just ridiculous. Like, and all the costuming looks like it was made in like, taken from like, Spirit of Halloween or something.
That's so great. I think one of my favorite Jesus videos that in multimedia and comedy was Mad TV. You remember Mad TV?
Oh yeah.
So they made Jesus Terminator. So Jesus comes back. Jesus comes back from the future. No. I got that wrong. The Terminator comes back from the future to protect Jesus from being crucified.
What?
And so so he finds Jesus and he's like, "You a Jesus?" Then he's like, "What do you want?" He's like, "Get away from me." He's like, "I will protect you." And the centurions come for him and he's like, "Oh, Jesus." And he's like, "Not today."
Is it like Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of vibes going on?
He's got the shades on and everything.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's like, wait, no, I didn't. No, I'm supposed to do this. I gotta watch that.
You have to. Yeah, definitely look it up. So along with the He Gets a Sad and a lot of this kind of going on, I kind of want to talk about some of the recent stuff. And by the time this episode comes out, this will probably be long gone. There's probably going to be, the past 3 weeks has just been a whirlwind of things going on.
Do you think in lieu of that, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go for it.
In lieu of that, I was going to make a dumb comment. Should we maybe try to prophesy some future events that will happen in the next 2 months?
Yes,
or not 2 months.
Maybe I can put some
better faith in that.
Like bed music behind our voices or something like that.
We got to say something. Maybe if I cast a stone, we'll get it.
Yeah, so it's like a music bed, just kind of like some low like synth music or something like that.
Well, if I was to say right now, and I don't mean to be like, I'm joking when I say this, so with a grain of salt. But if I were to say like, oh yeah, when this episode releases, these events will take. I'm not even gonna go there. Sorry. This is just never mind.
I think what we should do. Here we go. This is.
You want to take it?
Yeah, do you want to take this? This is the Prophecy Hour on Grub and Grace. Cue the music. Zach, do you want to kick us off? What is the Prophecy Hour?
This just in. Trump has just started a new office, and it's a Hands on Hounds. It's part of the Paula White ministry. This has all been. Everyone's excited about it. Everyone loves it. It's for your dogs. All Dogs Go to Heaven initiative that Trump has always been a part of. We all know he's been a part of that, and now it's official, just like you thought. I mean, it can't get any more ridiculous than that, but it's true. It just happened. This just in. Today is March 1st, 2025. Sorry, that's the best I got. I was trying not to go too dark with it. Dumb dogs, why are you following me? Do you think if they did another version of the musical Annie, right? The sun will come up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Daddy Warbucks. And do you think Trump would shave his hair to be Daddy Warbucks in it? Think he'd go to that extreme to do the role?
Only if he takes that gigantic bomb that comes through the window and does the twirl and throws it back out.
That's great.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
All right. So here's my future prophecy.
Yes, let's hear it.
Future prophecy: Pete Hegseth takes on the old CIA operation from World War I to train homing pigeons, but this time he dresses them up in clown outfits and makes them put on a play about Christian nationalism to educate the people on how a good wife should be and how a good husband should be.
I love it. That's the kind of theater that I'm into. I really love these morality plays. I love them so much. I love them bigly. I love them a lot.
Love them bigly. Bigly Chews.
That'd be a good name for a dog, like Bigley.
Come here,
a
Bigley.
Golden retriever that just prances.
Come here, Bigley.
Wait, that's not Bigley. That's a horse. That's an angry horse that likes bad news.
Can't believe I bought a horse and not a dog.
That's not any horse. That's a bad news horse. Look, he's growing orange. He's glowing. He likes bad news. Oh, well, let him be to his own devices.
I think that's a great transition into recent news. I should have a little like sound effect, like this is recent news. Recent news. Be like one of those old guys. Yeah, we're gonna be on this podcast for 5 hours today talking about recent news.
I had someone send me a Joe Rogan clip, but it wasn't just a Joe Rogan clip; it was the entire show, because that's what the clips are. They're like 5 hours long. He's like, "Man, this was a good comment." I'm like, "Where's the comment? It's 3 hours long. Can you just send me like a 1 minute version?" And it's not even like Joe Rogan. It's anyone that does like 6 hour stuff. It's like, man, you got to break it down. I need like a small bite-sized one that I can just like, because no way I don't have time for this. I'm not a truck driver driving around the country.
So, how are we doing on time? Because I know it's like 12:30 is your place.
No, you tell me. How are you doing? And
I'm good whenever. I mean, honestly, I could post this this thing, and I think we'd be fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
But if you want to,
closing thoughts,
dude, I really appreciate your time. I love our conversations. Dude. Every time we get together and talk, it's good too, stuff. Man. I know maybe next time we'll be. Oh, I was going to say, I know we didn't get quite as goofy as we normally do on this conversation, but I think we had some really good stuff.
It makes me mad. Hey, next time, can we talk a little bit about my book that I wrote? Next time, I want to read my book, the book that I wrote on thespian pooping missionary style.
Yeah.
I'd like to just read maybe the entire book during the podcast.
Yeah, let's do that.
on 2 times speed.
I think you should, honestly.
Yeah, I'll bring it out.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I can't wait, man. Yeah, thanks for thinking of me, and means a lot, man, just to be able to get to do this. Be considered a guest on your show, and yeah, I'm rooting for you.
Thank you. Rooting for you too. I know things
for
have been
this
tough
and just for life in general, not just this, but like, yeah, man, I'm definitely in your corner, and if you need anything, like, yeah.
That's it for today's episode of Grub and Grace. I truly hope you enjoyed our discussion. If you like the content that we produce, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It would really help us out a lot. Also, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Until next time, stay curious, keep an open mind, and celebrate the traditions that bring us all together.